Guten Tag, you lovely, lovely jublies, and welcome to a rather out of the blue video. Now, if you are new, hello, welcome. I normally upload to YouTube, but I'm branching out. I'm branching out from just uploading willy-nilly. Wow, there's so much to talk about. I've decided to branch out and make different kinds of content alongside my other regular stuff every now and then. This is mainly to air out some grievances that I've had revolving around certain political aspects in America and the world at large, and I just figured I'd record myself along the way, talking about topics such as the immigrant crisis, the US-China trade war, etc., as I get to them. Anyway, before I did any of that, though, I wanted to do the political compass. It seemed like a rite of passage for people making this kind of content. And I wanted to see how I stacked up as things go. Now, the political compass, you guys can read this as we go. It may look a bit stretched to you, but that's because I'm testing new ways to record stuff, and I have the browser sort of cropped in a way. This is technical babble. But as I said, I've been branching out to other platforms. Now I have Gab, BitChute, The Mind, which I'll be uploading this to as well. So hello if you're from that, and also YouTube. So, without further ado, let's test this out. Let's see, just a few propositions to start with concerning, no less, how you see the country and the world. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I'd agree with that. If economic globalization was inevitable. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I wouldn't necessarily say I would, especially if I believe it was wrong in a way. I wouldn't just go along with it. Like, suddenly one day we decide to become some sort of Nazi regime. I don't think I'd look too fondly upon that. But then again, it's my country, so I wouldn't be terroristic. No one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I don't exactly agree with that. Take pride in what you have. At least, if it's not certain countries. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. No, I strongly disagree. That's... The enemy of my enemy is my friend, depending on the situation. I'll agree slightly. It just depends on the situation. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I'm gonna agree with that. Sometimes. It's a definite depending on the circumstance. I'm actually gonna change that to disagree because I'm on the fence about that. There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I disagree with that. If people can get informed and entertained at the same time, all the better, as long as it's correct information. Such as something like CNN. That worries me. But people actually getting entertained and informed at the same time, think something that Neil deGrasse Tyson does, insert X-spaced science show here. I like that. So I'm just gonna disagree with this. Now the economy. We're talking attitudes here, not the FTSE index. I actually don't know what that is, but I'm learning. Don't worry. I'm sorry. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. Ooh, no. No. Yeah, okay, yeah, I was right. Fuck you. You look at homogenized countries such as in China, and then you look at America, there's definite differences there. Because China. America, you have so many different ethnic groups that there are clashes. So I think that there's more of a division between race than there is more class. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I will have to agree. I agree. Controlling inflation, despite people working, if the dollar's not worth anything, there'd be no point. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Wholeheartedly agree. Most of the time, they're out to just turn a profit. And I'll just leave it at that. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need, is a fundamentally good idea. That sounds commie-ish. I don't exactly agree with this statement. It's a sad reflection on our society that sometimes as basic as drinking water is now a bottled branded consumer project. I don't think so. I don't. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I strongly disagree. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money, contributing nothing to their society. How people make money is up to them, okay? I can't exactly agree with that. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Strongly agree. I very much strongly agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I disagree. That should be a priority, but that shouldn't be its only social priority. The rich are too highly taxed. Nah. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. That's depending. I don't like the wording of this question. Those with the ability not to pay shouldn't necessarily have access to higher standards, but they should have access to a high standard of medical care. But if you can pay for, the exorbitant doctor, then go for it. I'm going to have to agree. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Yeah, actually. Although I don't like the government interfering too much with, Actually, I disagree. Crap. I agree. Fuck. That's a bit of a flippity-floppity one for me because, on one hand, I am all for a laissez-faire economy. Free market, open market, great. On the other hand, there should be repercussions preventing and discouraging misleading the public when it comes to company. Intentionally misleading the public. It's one of those flip-floppity ones for me. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I agree. Monopolies are bad in general. I just like free market, many choices as possible, depending on if, such and such. I strongly agree. Okay, here's where the flagship come in. Here's where the pitchforks start coming. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. Okay, now, this is a very sensitive subject with me not being a woman. When the life is threatened, I believe it's up to the woman. She can either go through with it, or she can go along with it and abort. Now, that's also if the woman was raped. I believe she should have that option. But if you're willy-nilly being a whore and not using protection, at least give the baby a chance. Put it in an orphanage. Put her in the orphanage. And just go about your way. There's no reason to just kill like that. Just give it a chance. Although, to be honest, our population isn't exactly the best, but that's another subject. Anyways, oh fuck. But I can't completely agree and I can't completely disagree. I'm just gonna agree. Sure. Nope, I can't. Because there's that other stipulations. All authority should be questioned. I agree. Actually, 100%. Not questioned as in, riots. I mean questioned as in, just because somebody with more power than you says something does not mean it's correct. And I stand by that. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, depending on the circumstance. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, but without retaliation and knuckling under, it depends. I'm gonna have to agree. People should be able to stand up for themselves and fight back. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I agree. We shouldn't be expected to, but if we want to, go for it. I love museums, I love libraries, and I love theaters. Let's see. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. No. Having a structured schedule is a very good thing to have. My personal opinion here, but from personal experience, that's some other issues I'll talk about some other time. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Wow. I have to disagree there. I disagree. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Strongly agree. Some little bastards, It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Agree. It's natural. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense, depending on if it's legal. Legalize. The prime function of school should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. I agree. Or to at the very least understand how life works. How life works. Taxes, mortgages, car payments. You should be able to learn all of that. School should be preparing you for life. There's a lot of stuff in schools now that I don't exactly agree with. Not that you shouldn't learn it, it's just they don't spend enough time teaching you about after school. They just get you through school. They don't spend so much time teaching you on what to do after you're out of there. So, there's that. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Wow. Inheritable disabilities. I mean, if they have a serious disability that can be inherited, and if they find somebody who wants to have that, go for it. I disagree. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I mean, to a point, yes, I don't want robots. I don't want an authoritarian-esque government. We don't need no... I can't do that because copyright. But you get where I'm going. But I agree to an extent that to be disciplined in nature is a benefit. There are no savages and civilized people. There are only different cultures. I mean, yes and no. I wouldn't I mean, there are civilized cannibalistic people and tribes, but I would still call that a bit savage, because they take you are what you eat too far. I disagree. There are definitely cultures that are more on the up and up than others, which I will be talking about later, perhaps. So I'll leave that at that. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Strongly agree. If they're able to work, but they refuse, I can't help you. I won't help you. When you're troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I mean, it depends on what you're able to do. Depression is a thing, you know. Not the teenager depression type shit. Emo. But actual, depression. I disagree. Fuck, I'm gonna agree. It is better not to think about it. Objectively. But I'm a very cynical person. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I disagree. I've seen examples of this firsthand, of people just assimilating right in. My grandparents, for example, my great-great-grandparents as well, just slide right in. What's good for the most successful corporation is always ultimately good for all of us. I mean, I disagree because it depends on the company. This is sounding awfully dystopian future-ish. I'm gonna have to disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Let me see. I had to make sure I was recording real quick, because I would have been very mad otherwise. I mean, if people are allowed to publicly fund it, rather than have their tax dollars go to it without their say, have at it. I disagree. We'll see. Yeah, I disagree. Whew, page 4 of 6. Holy jamoly. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Disagree. A significant... I bet they're talking about the TSA and being strip searched. They can strip search me anytime. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the argument that delays progress in a democratic political system. Oof. Well, in the U.S., we're not democratic. We have a constitutional republic. Or we don't have a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. For several key reasons. But a one-party state sounds a hell of a lot like an echo chamber. And having different political parties is a good way to filter out the crazies from more rational people, supposing. I mean, in theory. So, I'm going to strongly disagree. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Disagree. Big Brother's out there. Big Brother's watching. Even me. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. That depends. On one hand, I like motherfuckers to rot and regret what they did for the rest of their natural life. On the other hand, taxpayer dollars go to keeping them fed and clothed. So, I'm gonna agree. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commended. I disagree. But, that depends. There needs to be order most of the time. But to a degree such as a king and a queen above everyone else, I'm just gonna have to disagree. I really don't like the wording of that. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I disagree. Art's art. Anyone can say anything's art. Just leave it at that. You don't have to agree, but there you go. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I agree. I very much agree. It is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. Strongly agree. Some criminals can't be rehabilitated. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I agree. But, on the other hand, writers and artists are thinkers in society and help move us theologically and mentally forward. And philosophically forward. I'd say they're just about equally important in any society. But I'm just gonna agree a little bit. I wish there was a middle ground answer, but, mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be housemakers. Oof. I'm gonna disagree. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I don't know anything about this, but I'm going to assume yes. This is probably going to skew my result, but Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Yes and no. Just as long as the establishment isn't exactly a Nazi regime or radical in its ideology. It just depends. A lot of these depend. But making peace with the establishment and doing things the ethical way instead of bitching in the street is very important. Not like bitching in the street as in peacefully protesting over something simple. I mean Ferguson, Missouri. So I agree. Oh boy. Astrology no. You cannot be moral without being religious? Strongly no. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I agree. Places like St. Jude's, their charities, etc., donating money to them, it's an excellent way. Some people are naturally unlucky. I don't believe in luck. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Oof. Strongly disagree. Indoctrination isn't exactly something I agree with. Okay, a look at sex. Immoral. Yeah, no. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Strongly agree. There's no reason why not. As long as they're in a stable, loving relationship, just like any other environment. You don't want your kid growing up in a broken home. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree. Love my pornography. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state, depending on if somebody's being eaten, mutilated, or etc. But I agree. No one can feel naturally ill. I disagree. These days openness about sex have gone too far. Consider me a fuddy-duddy, but in public I don't exactly yell out to the world about anything concerning sex. I don't see it as something logical to do. And it looks like that about wraps it up. Let's see where we stand. Inadequacies of the traditional left-right line. It's fine as far as it goes. For example, Stalin, Mao, Zedong, Pol Pot. Okay. But the social dimension is also important in politics. That's one of them. Yeah. Okay. You guys can read this. I'm a speed reader. Don't worry. Pinochet sanction framework despite popular perceptions. Yeah, it's not communist but anarchism. You understand? Ooh, Gandhi. You commie, you. God damn it. Oh, cool. Oh. Weird. Libertarian right. I think it's because a few of my answers I was flip-flopping on. I've considered myself more of a centrist type person, or at least a bit left-leaning. But I guess some of my views are right-leaning, which is why I considered myself more of a centrist type person. But I'm not extreme in any case. Who'da thunk it? And I'm a bit libertarian. Who'da thunk it? Alright, I'ma save you. But anyway, why did I do this? Well, I wanted to start doing a different kind of content that isn't exactly my usual style. I wanted to stretch my legs, and I wanted to learn. And I was tired of looking at things that day by day frustrate me more and more. Which is why I've been building up to this moment by branching out to other platforms, because God knows YouTube doesn't exactly like this type of stuff. And I'm going to be taking this political compass test probably next year, a couple months from now, sometime in the far future, just to see where I stand, how I learn. So future me, remember to do this. You guys remind me to do this. And if you did enjoy, stick around because I'll be back, depression permitting.